Hi, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Amy, and we're from Tellers Angels to bring to you the Ancient History specific essay writing seminar. There's a few different things we're going to talk about today. They include where do I begin, looking at essay structure, looking at using evidence, referencing and bibliographies, academic style, and then lastly, formatting and presentation. A lot of what we refer to today you can also find on the Tellers Angels website. All those resources there all supplement into this. Thanks. So once you've got your essay, you're going to say, okay, where do I begin? So you've got to ask what the question is really asking from you. What are the parameters of the question and what are the limitations? So an example question here is, what do the archaeological remains of Pompeii tell us about daily life in a Roman city? And then the option is to choose at least two of the options from entertainment, diet, economy, political structures, women and religion. Okay, so what you want to do is underline or emphasize the key parts of the question. For instance, it's looking specifically at archaeological remains, okay? Not thinking about epigraphical remains or any other records, just looking at archaeological remains. Then it's talking specifically about Pompeii, so for instance, not Pompeii and Herculaneum, just Pompeii, and it's saying what does that reveal about daily life, okay? And with them it says choose at least two. So if you're thinking about an essay at tertiary level, so at university level, what it's looking for is for you to academically engage with the question and the sources, okay? It's not just about description, it's about engagement at a critical level, okay? So while it says choose at least two, you aren't necessarily going to be able to critically analyse entertainment, diet, economy, political structures, women and religion all together. Okay, so when it says something like choose at least two or choose two, your job is to look at what the evidence available tells you about daily life and pick two that are most reflective of that. Okay, so moving on to our next slide. Once you've read the question and you've had a bit of a think about it, you should get to know the library. So for instance, if you've missed an ancient history specific library tour with us, you can email us and we can organise one of them for you if that would be helpful for you. With the library catalogue, there's a lot of different options. With the question before, for instance, for the economy of Pompeii, you could type in economy and Pompeii into the library catalogue, and that's one place you could start off. There's also online databases. So you may or may not have heard about databases before. There's a few that are really, really excellent for ancient history specifically, and they are JSTOR is one and L'Année Philologique is a second one. Now, even though the name is a bit scary because it's in French, it's actually quite a useful database and it will give you a huge advantage over other students who, for instance, aren't using a variety of databases or aren't even using databases full stop. So we'll go through that in just a minute. Third thing for you to consider is to raid or to piggyback footnotes and bibliographies of other sources. For instance, you might have a text that has a lot of references in the footnotes or a short list at the end, and you'll find that in encyclopedias, for instance, the Encyclopedia of Ancient Egypt has a really fantastic reference section at the end, when you can actually use those sources to go and find out the main issues relevant to your particular topic. Okay, so the library catalogue. You may or may not have seen this before, but you're going to become very, very familiar with this. So if you go to the Macquarie Uni website, you can click the link up the top for library, or you can type in www.mq.edu.au/on_campus/library/, and then click on this little database link here. That'll take you to this page, and within the database collection there's a specific link for ancient history resources specifically. So if you click on that, there's a few different options that come up. They include JSTOR and the online Egyptological database as well, and then there's also our favourite French Egyptian database, which we'll just go over now. So it comes up in French, a little bit daunting, but it's okay. There are English references that you can find through here, so if you don't speak French, it's okay. With the option here, full text automatically comes up, and then you can type in your search criteria here. So for instance, you might click on Pompeii economy, okay, based on the question we were looking at before. Then if you click on search, it'll come up with a number of different options, and then you can use those particular references in there to bring up what the resources that you can use, so different sources that you can chase up. Okay, and you can look them up in the library catalogue. Now, databases can be a little bit daunting, so we put together a database resource document. So it's titled Using Ancient History Databases, and you can get that and other library research tool supplements from the website www.tellysangels.com.au. So that covers off that first little section on where do I begin.
So now you've got all your information, what do you do with it? This next section is going to be about the essay structure. So once you've done all your research, you need to look at the first few things. Start off by writing an outline of what you want to do. Are you answering the question? Make sure you continually answer the question throughout your entire essay. State your intent in your introduction. Make sure it's clear to the markers what you want to write about. So for example, taking a question about Pompeii. So what do the archaeological remains of Pompeii tell us about daily life in the Roman city with entertainment and religion? As Amy said earlier, we've highlighted the main points in the question, and so now we've got a sample introduction. So we've also highlighted for your benefit the main sections within the introduction. So Pompeii, Roman Empire, a date, archaeological remains, we're discussing religious life and entertainment. So within this we've also listed the primary sources we're going to be using. So we've got temples, figurines, and amphitheatres and graffiti. So the thing you should be aware about is at the end of your introduction, while it's not stated in this introduction here, the end of your introduction should have a general summary statement of why all these artefacts are going to be important for your essay. So once you've done your introduction, you need to go into the body of your essay. So for the body, you need to think sexy. So topic sentence, evidence, explanation, and why is it relevant. So the topic sentences are just a quick sentence at the beginning of each paragraph that's going to tell the marker what the paragraph's going to be about. You need to make sure you keep to one idea per paragraph. You need to then have evidence and explanation of the evidence and why you think this evidence is relevant to your question. So things to keep in mind when you're writing your essay. Always leave time for edit. It's amazing the perspective you get after leaving it alone for a day or two, so your essay's going to improve if you do that. Make sure you have an argument and you're not tossing and changing between your argument throughout. Make sure it's sustained throughout. Make sure you know the difference between describing and critical analysis, because this is a big thing lecturers will pick up at uni. And yeah, feel free to disagree or agree with the evidence. However, if you disagree, you need to say why, and you need to say that the evidence is inconclusive or why you don't think the evidence is right. So here's an example of a paragraph here. So which of the two is better? So in answer A, the students just basically stated what Donald said. So they've just got a quote here, and that's basically their whole paragraph. In answer B, the students actually engage with Donald. They've got primary evidence, which is the high quality pottery provided. So they've actually engaged with Donald, provided a bit of primary evidence. So in this example here, B would be the better answer.
So now we're going to talk about how you actually use the evidence that you've researched and collected. Okay, so terminology, evidence and sources can all be a little bit confusing to students, especially first year when you come in and you're not really sure exactly what's going on, you haven't got a great grasp. However, huge recommendation is that you do get a really solid understanding of how to use sources, when to use them, and different types of evidence, because that will then be able to strengthen your argument, because you'll have a better grasp of when to use sources and when to actually reference different types of sources within your argument itself. Okay, so this particular basics guide has been collated and is available for download from the Tellys Angels website, okay, and the details are just down the bottom. Okay.